How's it going, ladies and gents? Raph here from BNC Camera. Taking photographs of birds can be challenging and rewarding at the same time. Many people are drawn to birds, so much so in fact that birdwatching is becoming a trendy hobby. Birds can be majestic and make you feel like you are closer to nature. And in today's video, we're going to do a how-to on taking photographs of birds. Now, some of the tips we are including in this guide can also cover other types of wildlife photography as well, so just keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and jump right in and talk about the first major thing that we always talk about with our videos, and of course that's going to be equipment. Do you want your bird photography journey to go as smooth as butter? If so, you'll need to have all the proper equipment. First up, let's go ahead and talk about cameras. Choose a high quality camera capable of taking photographs with a shutter speed of at least 1/2000th of a second and an autofocus system that'll help keep your little feathered friends nice and sharp. You'll also want a camera that is capable of continuous bursts. Now, in terms of lenses, some of the best lenses to use for bird photography are the 200 to 400mm, 500mm, 600mm, or 800mm lenses. Prime glass won't allow you to zoom, but the fixed f-stop will ensure that you'll be consistent and be able to shoot fast depending on the lens's f-stop. Moving over to tripods, purchase a heavy-duty tripod that is sturdy enough to hold your camera and a large telephoto lens. You may be in the same spot for a while waiting to spot a bird. Try and find something with carbon fiber legs and a gimbal head. It wouldn't hurt to pack a few extra batteries and an extra memory card. You never know what's going to happen out there. And lastly, consider bringing a camera remote. A remote will help out in not having to touch the shutter button, causing the camera to shake a bit. With equipment and gear out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about camera settings. Having the correct settings will ensure you capture the best photograph of your little bird friend. Start out in Aperture priority mode or manual mode. If using manual, use the following settings. For shutter speed, fast shutter speeds will be the answer for photographing birds who are in mid-flight or who have fast movements. Slow the shutter speed if you want a blurred effect on the wings. Try setting your shutter at 1/1000th of a second and then tweak from there. In terms of ISO, to have a noise-free photograph, you'll want to set your ISO to something lower. However, you'll also need a high ISO with fast shutter speeds, and this will take a lot of experimenting to get a perfect balance. Speaking of balance, let's talk about white balance. Let's keep it super simple and use an auto white balance setting. You can go ahead and adjust accordingly based off of the weather and the cloud conditions as well. We had done a video on that, so if you want to check that one out, be sure to check out the playlist on our page. And for aperture, for a good depth of field, having an aperture of f4 or 5.6 is the most ideal. Now, keep in mind that settings can change quickly. If your bird is in motion or steadily perched on a tree, you'll have to consider your settings and adjust yourself accordingly. Okay, once your camera bag is packed with the essentials, you are ready to search for birds. The most common birds are robins, finches, and sparrows. Birds are usually most active during the early morning hours while hunting for food. Practicing with local birds will help you prepare for more exotic birds when birdwatching. You can easily do a Google search to find the best birdwatching spots near you. Now here are some tips to approaching the little guys. Spooking a bird right before pressing your shutter can lead to extreme frustration. Birds have a unique vision and are usually on high alert for predators. Birds that you have spotted have most likely spotted you as well too. Sudden movements can easily frighten a bird and make them want to get as far away from you as possible. We'll go ahead and give you some tips to help you on your approach. First up, turn off your cell phone or put it in silent mode. Even the slightest vibrations from your phone can spook a bird. Stay away from brightly colored clothes that pop out. All types of sudden movement will usually scare a bird. Always consider slow movement when you're approaching an animal, especially birds. Never suddenly stop if you're mid-walking when you spot a bird. Gradually slow down so you don't spook any of the other wildlife. Never walk in the direction of the bird. Some avid bird watchers even recommend slowly walking in a zigzag pattern if you want to get closer. If you and the bird lock eyes, stop all movement until the bird becomes distracted. If the bird is looking at you, it's likely on high alert. Eye contact is usually seen as a threat. If your camera has a loud shutter, try snapping the photo from a considerable distance. You can move closer once the shutter noise starts to blend in with the environment. Make sure you're using continuous bursts to capture as much as you can very quickly. Since wildlife is unpredictable, it's nice to have a lot of photographs to choose from when you're in the editing bay. And lastly, as a no-brainer, always have your back towards the sun for the best light. Once that's all said and done, it's time to edit. Use either Adobe Lightroom, Photoshop, or Capture One to edit. Lightroom and Capture One are typically better when you need to organize many photos and do simple editing. And Photoshop is best to do more complex editing. You're going to want to rely heavily on your cropping tool to fill that bird in as much as you can in the frame. Okay, and that's pretty much all the essential info you'd need to get started with bird photography. So take flight. All you need is a lot of time and patience when it comes to being a birdie, so keep that in mind. Don't be upset if you can't get it right the first time. Practice always makes better, as I like to say. To our fellow birdies out there watching this video, let us know some of your tips and tricks in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed the content, please be sure to like and subscribe as well too. Once again, this is Raph from B&C Camera, and we'll catch you on the next video.